so the first thing is to truly understand what release is. Like, we don't know what that is. That's a poetic of mine. You could say letting go, let go, but that's probably closer, to tell you the truth. But that phrase is just so corrupted by our modern wellness industry. It tends to lead towards apathy, and that's not it. So apathy is a disengagement of yourself from the environment, and so ultimately it's setting yourself up as an opposition to your environment. So it's you have the dichotomy there. You're going to have the egocentrism there. It's the exact opposite of what you want. It's also two words. Like, it's hard to put it in sentences as if it's not two words. So we go with release. Secondly, we have to understand that the way our ego tripartite mind works is it's predisposed towards materiality, towards mechanical formats, to all the things that we see of the world, because that ego tripartite mind is one aspect of creation. So we're going to try to make it seem like letting go, or try to make it seem like it's something mechanical, such as releasing muscle tension, you see. But the release that I'm using is metaphysical. It's tied to muscle tension. Is I can't truly be in the release state with muscle tension. That it's not synonymous with the other, but it's more like they're contradictory. So we can use muscle tension to let us know whether we're in the release state. So I can't ever be released and have muscle tension. That's what we're tackling here. Not per se, relax. It's not that. So release really comes from, if your teacher is going to have a poetic, they're always going to use their experience as some sort of one of the semantic elements to the message. The other semantic element is working with where are you at? So I take the semantic element of what did it feel like to me, and then I take where are you at? What are you thinking with? What is your body, mind, and how is it constituted? And I kind of get you there through this poetic. So that combination, or that interrelationship between my experience, where you're at, to get you to my experience, that's upaya. So my experience is, as I've said many times, it was spontaneous. It's forced upon you. And my review of the historical record is that it's almost always that way. It's forced upon you. So my first experience with it was really, as maybe I was 3 or 2 or 3, and fell in a pool. Fell in a pool and didn't know how to swim, and was drowned. I was drowning. But I didn't panic and did all that, trying to swim, trying to breathe. I accepted, you're dead, you can't breathe. Then I just sunk to the bottom and waited. There was no ability to swim. There was no prolonging in any meaningful way of what was going to happen. It was just a complete acceptance of death. What is allowing for that acceptance is what I'm calling release. Later, in a pursuit of this feeling, this way of being, I used it very mundanely, like I was free. I could do whatever I want. And the third party would look at me and go, that kid has no fear. He can jump off that building, or he's going to be fine. And I was. I would do it all the time. I would do things that, by other people's standards, due to the egocentricity, I would do things that they would go as impossible. Fast forward, as a young man, and you have another very similar experience, but not at all in necessitating the material aspects of the pool, the water, the floating feeling, none of that stuff. You're just a normal world, but it duplicated itself in me. And this is what people would call like a religious experience, because we can't see the elements of the release mechanism. There's no pool, there's no drowning, there's no real threat of death. But from the body-mind perspective, it was every bit exactly the same. And there was no choice, any different than there was a choice in the pool, to release. You were not going to come out of this. This release sometimes, as you guys know, I've told you, it's a surrendering, right? It's a surrendering. Acceptance, surrendering, release, right? Those are all the same, but you can see how they could all be turned. Acceptance, yeah, zero fucks. It's not like, that's not it. That's too superficial. We let go of shit all day long. I accept it. That's not what's happening. So even like today, you guys are doing your karma yoga, you're doing your bedrock practices, or even the 4 disciplines, and you have to let go and you have to accept, right? You have to, right? You know what I mean? It's like it's hard, but that's not yet what I'm talking about. There was nothing hard really about drowning and ready to die. It became effortless. So what I say is the training that we're doing here, which is derived from Silk Road technology itself, is, my religious theory is, people have stumbled upon this spontaneous forced release upon them one way or another, and they have reverse engineered it, developing these practices in order to bring agency to it, meaning to stop its spontaneity aspect of it. I didn't have control over those situations. Imagine if you purposely throw yourself in the pool when you can't swim, you'll just start the panic drowning response. Same way, imagine if you just are, as I was, sitting, you could wait there all day, you won't have the religious experience. It's not going to happen. But these techniques are ways of bringing agency, meaning taking away the spontaneity of those other things, which human beings have all the time throughout history, and allowing them to be reproducible. That's what we're trying to do here. That's the release we're trying to do. And we're working from the point of view of that's not release because you have this, such as muscle tension. So we got to get rid of that because there was no muscle tension in it. Being very general and very simple here. It's also why, for example, we don't release through physical shape, through the shape of my body, which is where I'm taking you guys at now. Okay? Meaning, as I've demonstrated multiple times, when he grips my arm, we will always go release. You see? Well, that's not it. And if you pay attention, what I'm pointing you to is when you release, you let the arm come back and you let the hand cave. The release can happen in this place with that shape. So the one I emphasize is that I've shown you is like if he squeezes my tendons there, he'll curl my hand. You'll feel the release. So he squeezes my tendons and he'll feel me release. He'll feel me relax, right? Okay. Then I say do Lao Gong, and you get what all modern Aikido does. They don't understand Lao Gong because it's a metaphysical aspect. So they saw O Sensei's hand like this, but if you squeeze my hand, you feel the tension in my hand, right? Okay, so keep that squeeze, and I'll keep that exaggerated Lao Gong where you feel the tension. Well, I'll keep it, and those tendons will. You see how you're squeezing them more. But my hand shape did not change. I'm going to keep doing it. You see you're squeezing them more. You see that? Right. So where the metaphysics comes in is that the ego tripartite mind, under that pressure, under that yang aspect of him, and under my mind's assigning of a task, which generates my desire to achieve that task, that is all the functioning of the ego tripartite mind. That's what it does. I have a desire, so I have an achievement, and therefore I have a failure, and I have to try to avoid that, and that's not it. Okay? Thereby, we can use form, which are assigned tasks, to find our way through this neither desiring nor not desiring, you see. So when I say to you many times now, chase the feeling, you see, I'm trying to take you off the task, because the task always, you get the desire, now you have the avoidance, and now we have the dichotomy, and now we're in the ego tripartite mind. Okay, so the reason I can now tell you chase the feeling is because I've seen you get the feeling here or there. Do you see that? Well, you could go, what's the feeling? The feeling's my original experience. Do you see? No one really ever asks that. What's it feel like? I remember I've asked some of you to watch that movie because I think that artists tap into this, which is why there's always this combination between what we today call religion and art. Artists can tap into this. I also think that's why you have a martial art. Like there's an artistic capacity to this, and it's in its ability to be form, but neither form nor non-form, in the spontaneity. So to be truly spontaneous with Aikido, it's not doing anything. You're spontaneous with Aikido. So I have a form, but I'm not really in the form, non-form dichotomy. Do you guys understand that? Because of how I am, what I am experienced as a being. Okay? So I asked some of you, watch this movie. I think it's called Mary Magdalene. And I like how the artist, the writer in that movie, is kind of imagining what would it be like to truly be a disciple, a follower, meaning you're walking on the same path as you are literally following this person, the Christ, from place to place. You see, they write it from her point of view, Mary's point of view. And they do a very interesting thing with, she was in the Jewish life of that time, but she didn't really fit into it. It's kind of like that. There has to always be some ability to distance ourselves from the world and the fictions of the world, because the world and the fictions of the world are the ego tripartite mind. And she didn't fit in. That's a spontaneous thing that happened. Somehow she sees through all this kind of crap. She's supposed to get married. She's supposed to do what their culture says. And she's all like, no, there's something more important. This is driving me. I can't stop. It's spontaneous. It's out of her control. So she follows the Christ. And at one point, everyone's asking him, what's heaven like? What will happen at the end of the time? All this kind of stuff. She's sitting down. She has a moment just with her teacher. And she says, what does it feel like to be so close to God? And the author, rightly so, because if you read the scripture, the artist of this movie, rightly so, if you read the scripture, has the Christ character says, no one's ever asked me that. Because that's the main thing. That's the main question. What's it feel like? So I want you to chase the feeling. And in order to chase the feeling, you have to stop doing the mundane things. And the mundane things that the world tells you, that's how you should understand what the teacher is saying, like letting go, release tension, and things like that. And so if you think about it, your first release truly, in the same way that there's no ability to refuse the release as if you were drowning in a pool, is to release to the teacher's words as if it is a commandment, as if it is you're drowning. And there's nothing to do about it. So when the teacher says, keep the form, you have to stop going like this. Because that's not the form. That's us, in my world, in the forces that I can sense, that is rightly, though poetically, described as the darkness making sure you stay dark and don't go to the light. So do this instead. And we go, okay, I did that instead. So you have to hold the first place that you can truly release is not really in muscle tension, but the teacher said. And that's what I do. This is really why modern Aikido has no chance, because they don't have the teacher as that kind of tool. The teacher is just a disseminator of information, but that is not how this works at all. That is not how it works at all. So the Christ character in that movie, what does it feel like? He could have said, how do you feel right here, right now with me? That's what it feels like. So that's where we're going here, okay? Because we're going to go into some very, very subtle sensations, things to sense. And we can't get there if we're just doing these mechanical, mundane things. You just can't get there, okay? So let's do this next exercise. He's going to have just his hand out. Just stand still, okay? And I'm going to be over here, and we're going to adhere onto this side. So again, for those in the Patreon group, you probably don't have this. I don't know if you guys have this, because we don't have any spinal displacement, okay? So it's very subtle forces. But spinal displacement is yang aspect that I'm internalizing, you see, by releasing. You're like, why does it go into you when you release? I don't freaking know. I don't know why the religious experience happens. I don't know why I was able to release at the bottom of that pool as a 2-3-year-old. I don't know. No one knows these things. I have not found anything in all my research that explains it to you. Now, Advaita Vedanta likes to come up with ideas, but it's just ego tripartite mind. I wouldn't go there. It's bullshit. Okay, but they like to act like there's all these mechanical, scientific reasons for things. It's not true, and it most definitely won't get you there. Okay, so but if you think about it, when I release, the yang aspect comes into me. I let it go to the ground, and I get the adhesion and the projection. When we spinally displace, I'm making those all gross, okay? So feel your balance, okay? Feel your balance. And tell me when you first feel a pull on your balance. Okay, you already moved, so you should have felt it. Did you see that? Could you see it? Okay. So, and you can see, I don't need the base, and you don't need the base. There's no base at the bottom of the pool. There was no stance or posture or organization when what I describe now as God crushed me onto the floor. I was not in a stance. I did not have spinal alignment. All right. So when you first feel the pull, that's what I want you to feel. Okay? And you'll say when you feel the pull. Okay. Now, I'm going to take this where his base of support, and we'll come over here, to where I take that pull just outside, and I'll film so you can see what that's all I'm doing, right? There's no hook or anything like that. It's just right here. That's all I'm doing, right here. That's it. It's very flat, okay? And eventually I'm going to tell you to go to that camera angle, Virginia. Okay, so I'm going to take that pull, and we'll start again. You tell me when you feel the pull. Okay? And now I'm going to pull that so that your line of gravity is getting near your base of support. I don't want you to fall, though. Do you understand? I want you to keep yourself where you're at. Okay? Now, as you keep yourself where you're at, what did you feel you had to do to see how much he came back? When you feel that you have to do something to not fall, try to sense, what did you do? What did you feel? Muscle tension, reshifting my weight. A thought came in my head. Do you understand? Okay, so we started again. He's just standing there, no spinal displacement. Tell me when you feel the pull. No. Okay? And you're going to feel me start taking that line of gravity outside. And as you know, you're already keeping it. What did you have to do?
Push off of my front foot.
Okay, and he held his breath. So everything that you're doing, okay? Got it? You feel any muscle tension that you're needing in your back? Pay attention.
Yes.
Yes, okay? So let's go over here now, okay? And here we are again. Same exact thing. Okay? And look how he's standing, and know your relaxation. Okay? And let me have you go to that angle. Okay? And again, I don't need a stance for this. All right. And when you feel the pull, okay? And I say okay because I know I'm pulling on it. Okay? I feel the tension. You should have felt the tension in your body as he's trying not to fall. And I've pointed it out to you, but I've told you that the building falls in on the release. If you pay attention, the building starts to fall in because there's a yin falling in. Okay, so we go, and I'm going to take him right to the edge. Do you see? His head came up. Did you feel your head come up? Okay, and don't come forward. Hold it. He's leaning backwards now, if you pay attention. Okay, you feel more tension in your body. You see? Okay, you could. So to me, when if you would come over here now, and you're just going to do it externally. You got it? But slowly. And I'm going to watch his body. Don't do anything yet. And I can tell he's relaxed and he's perfectly balanced and he's staying there. So when you pull this, don't pull it onto that foot. The kazushi is to the inside of that foot. It doesn't have to be at a 45. It just has to be slightly inside of that base of support, because you're going to pull him onto that base of support. You get it? As you're doing the adhesion and extending him out. And so you need to just brace, okay? You need to just come this way, you see? And then you get the tension in his body. Okay, so you're going to do that. Well, watching Ronan's body, slowly, slowly, slowly. And I can already see the tension in his body. There, if you pay attention, this is all tense because he's using these things to keep himself there. Okay? Take it right to the edge. There you go. And this is what that guy looked like in that picture. That's what his body looks like. Okay, let go of everything. Go back to relaxing. No, I don't need you to turn. I just need you to relax so you don't fall. Okay, do you understand? Okay, give him that tension. Take him to the edge of his base of support, a little slower, and then he'll relax. And just release tension. Take it to there. You guys stay with me, please. Okay, take him to there. Okay, he's there. He tensed up. And now Chris lets go, and Ronan releases tension. You can see he settles. He's relaxed again, and this is visible to me. Okay. So when we're out here and I'm pulling and I grinding, you can see there was that tension again. Okay. So when I'm out here and I get him there, this looks totally. Here I am on the back foot, and this looks totally different to me. It's not his wobbling; it's his tension. So I'll boom, and you can see that is not normal. So we come back here. If I don't have that force and I hit here, it looks one thing. But when you get the force, you now can get these radical angles that we couldn't get before, even from the strike. Okay? Why? Well, he's very off balance already. He's not just standing normal where his inertia is working against that strike. He's already, like, be on your tippy toes about to fall. Just hold yourself on your tippy toes. You see? That little strike gets more reaction out of him. Okay? When you combine that, go on your tippy toes, and I'm grounding on the back foot, and I take that little strike, boom, you can see that I'm using the internals, and then now we just combined it in motion, and you get big ass reactions from tiny little things. Okay? You guys play with this pull. Okay? What's your question? So who are we talking about? Nage or Uke? Okay, well, let's talk about one. Let's talk about Nage. Ask your question from Nage's point of view. Okay, so you're asking me, is that the point of the drill? All right, so now let's think about, think about that. What's the point of the drill? That's her question. Do you understand my question? The point of the drill is to sit next to Christ and say, what does it feel like? That's the point of the drill. Okay, that's what we're doing. For Nage, that's all I'm doing. So in that moment when I do the drill, I am 2 years old and I have accepted death, or I'm being crushed to the floor and there's no escape. That's what I feel. That's why I don't need the stance. Did you see? No stance was necessary. You could see the contact happen. The thing we want to happen happened right at touch, right? The building came in. I'm just doing that. It's the same thing I do when I do Zazen. It's the same exact thing. That's all you're doing, okay? In that moment, you're sitting right next to God, just like she was. That's the point for Nage. Don't get sidetracked. The difference is that your modern ear wants to talk about God, wants to thank God. That's not what I do. What does God feel like? That's what we do, okay? Now, the second thing is what is going on in Uke. Well, as a result of what I do, I can do things to Uke in this technique. So I adhere to Uke. I pull their line of gravity to the edge of their base of support. As a result of that, only another awakened being will not tense. Everyone else will tense. Everyone else will try to escape. Everyone else will try to not drown. Do you understand? So they will tense, they will reify the ego, all that kind of stuff. So the tension arises in their body. I'm doing things with that tension, with that will that is innate to that mind that they're still dominated by. Okay, so Ronan has more skill at release than Chris does. And so I know that his tension is subtle. I don't think that people in the Patreon group will be able to see it on camera. I can see it. I could feel it. He's verbalizing when he feels it, okay? We may be able to see more of it on camera when he does it on Chris, because that ego tripartite mind will use more tension. And I don't want you to change anything. This isn't about you right now. I want people to see that the tension does arise and what does it look like, okay? So we're going to have Ronan do it. And there's the tension in Chris's body. There's a bend now in his torso is what I'm seeing. And the lower back is being used to keep his head from going forward. That's exactly what's in that O Sensei picture. Okay? Take him to that edge and then slowly past it. So you're going to take him off his base of support. And we'll see more. We're going to make Chris's response more gross for the camera. There's the tension. You can see the torso is leaning forward. There it is right there. That's more gross. Okay, go ahead and take him slowly off. Yep. Okay. So before he fell and before the back is used as that kind of don't go, it's visible to me. Okay, which is why I can say when it's going to happen, probably before you can see it on the camera. But that is what is happening. Okay. All right, so when we get to the Ikkyo, it feels like mundanely that I go like this, and then I am pushing him out, taking him off balance, and then he's down. Because that's the way the ego tripartite mind works. It makes up lies all the time. It's a lie all the time because it has no capacity to take in reality all at once. So it's constantly editing. Your sense of self, your identity is nothing but a radically edited view of reality. So it's always false. It's missing information. It selects what information it's going to take out so that it supports it, continues its existence. That's what I call reification. So here, this looks like it works, but it only looks like it because you never ask the question, what's keeping his foot still? What's keeping his foot still? Okay? It edited that out of reality. So if I say, don't keep your foot still, and I try that same movement, because I push him away, he can just move it. And it's easy. So I do this to the kids in the academy class, because we have arm bars in the academy class, you see. And they're taught the same thing. Walk the guy out, and the guy goes down. And again, when you try to arrest someone who doesn't know the techniques, they don't want to go down. It's very instinctual. Why am I falling? I'm losing my balance. And it's very instinctual to put your base of support back under your line of gravity. That's what people do. So you try to arrest someone with this technique, you come away going, fuck, this shit doesn't work. You have the Rokus experience, okay? But it was stupid in its understanding in the beginning because it's ego tripartite mind based, and its stupidity comes from you left out a lot of reality. This is why it seems impractical. It doesn't work. Okay? So the kids are, here I am all the way down, and we're going to go really slow. I'm going to do the same thing. At a certain point, go really slow and do the movement. My elbow's going forward. Do you see that? And all I do, and you would do this if you were good at Jiu-jitsu, is when I feel him go forward, I just go with it. You don't need any huge resistance thing. Go. You don't need that. Go. You don't need this, and get your leg in there. Just as he's about to go, I'm out. I am responding to his energy at some very subtle levels, just like when he was standing still. This is energy, this is yang, and I'm responding at a very subtle level. It's not magic, it's just forces. All right, same thing happens here. I'm Nage, and we're having the problem that when he rolls out, because you are going to start a circle, there will be centrifugal energy, that you're losing it, and he is able to lift the elbow up. And that would get an arrestee out of the arm control. In this case, it could have your uke rolling away from you, roll away. The elbow comes up on that action. Pay attention. As he goes to roll, go. You can see his elbows have to come up because the shoulder's going over. All I'm doing when I feel the energy start to go up. That's the energy I'm already taking away. Do you feel that, Ryan? Okay? That energy. The more it goes, the more I take it this way. So he goes. That's too late. As soon as it goes, I'm already moving it this way. So now what I do is I'm here. I got to exaggerate it a little bit, okay? Because I'm the one that makes him do that. So this isn't the right arm mechanics. But as I'm making him go into the X pattern, that elbow's going to go up, and I'm taking it this way. And it never goes anywhere but right underneath my power line. That is why you don't see him, as in Ronan's last example when we were on the video, you let it go deep into it, and then you brought it around, and there's the twist in his body. Because some of that centrifugal energy got in them. As I displace, and no. Okay, got it? Does that make sense? All right. So that's what I'm doing in the technique. I'm coming around. Don't push it forward because then it's not underneath me. It comes back towards me, and it's easy peasy. Many of you do it too late because the ego tripartite mind can't experience reality all at once, so it wants to take turns, this, then that. So you go to enter, and the elbow already moved. Boom. Everything's at once. Everything's at once, okay? So feel for that arm, that its rising energy is what I'm taking around. And its energy, there's going to be centrifugal energy. It has to continually be reconciled through the descent, meaning I can't have one angle. So if I go here and I do one angle, you're going to get that because you did not keep reconciling. That's why I say 90-degree fluctuation. You have to continually reconcile it, okay? Boom, reconcile. Now, see if you can tell how many little angles I actually have on your elbow control, okay? We'll go slow so you could feel it. You feel that one's coming back. Got it? Here I don't do it. It just goes around. There's that. One angle only. Okay, so I'm going to do it smooth, and you'll feel the different angles. You see? Okay? Because he's laying down. If he has his arm up, you're not pinning that guy in real life. His technique failed. This is my zone of sanctuary, and it requires that this shoulder is down. Otherwise, you don't have it. So he can't be here, or worse, be a little higher. He can't be there, or worse, he can't be here, okay? Because you're not going to get this. So same thing's going to happen. When you feel me try to go around, you just move with me, and he's out, okay? All right, let's try it. Good, so no twist today, right? See how you're getting it? 'Cause you have to keep alive with the relationship. Good. Good. And the twist, because you have one angle. Better. But that was it was a lot of oomph, right? There's no oomph required. Better. The oomph comes because we're late and we're trying to get more angle deviation out of an angle we should have not stayed on. Okay? Stay on the sensitive at the beginning of his energy. Yes, it's so easy now. Yep, easy peasy. All right, Virginia, you're up. Go on, Chris, please. Oh, so if I'm not pushing them. Do you get that? And so we pushed, then he fell, and now the thing that was keeping us upright that we were pushing on, it fell below us, and now we fall forward. Okay? I'm just changing his energy angle. Yes, that's it. It's so simple. Oops, breathe out. The tension that held your breath is the contestation we don't want. Breathe out, settle the leg tension. Trust it. So why are you going to trust it? Why? What's the ultimate reason why you're going to trust it? That's right. Got it? Try it again. You already did it, so we know you can do it. Even more. Stick on that side. Yes. Well done.
In the course of the week, I've been just contemplating in my head the difference that I feel between Virginia, who's pretty light, compared to Andrew, who's significantly bigger than me. And in the back of my head, I have your words saying everyone should feel the same. And so for this week, in the back of my head, I'm like, well, this feels significantly different. She still feels subjectively light, and Andrew feels subjectively heavy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not trying to do anything with that, but it's in the back of my head
Yes.
that this should not be.
It should not be. So let's think about it. And again, thinking isn't going to help us, okay? But what we're doing is not ever going to be outside of logic. Why it first seems illogical is because we have the self that is editing out information. So what we're saying at first, like that doesn't seem possible. Andrew weighs more than Virginia, so that technique should require more force, okay? But here's what we're doing. If we're reconciling the energy at its origin, do you see? Andrew's weight never comes into what we're doing. It just doesn't. That is why if you read the old text, they'll give you some arbitrary weight. It's in their Chinese measurements. But you hear me say it's about 2 to 4 pounds of pressure. Every technique is about 2 to 4 pounds of pressure. Do you ever see me out here with a pressure gauge or a scale? No. It's very light and it's the same for everyone, okay? So then what are you actually feeling? It is very common, or let's say it is in the nature of the ego tripartite mind to kickstart other ego tripartite minds. It's almost like a virus. So when they tense, you tense. They push, you push. They pull, you pull. Do you see that? And in this way, that half of creation reproduces itself outside of what we want and what's actually best for us, okay? If you can stay released, the technique actually becomes easier. And why, if I say that with everything we've done up to this point, why would I say the technique becomes easier? I'll give you a clue. What I had Ronan do where he was just standing there, I described it as much more subtle. Do you see? And it's a higher level skill. I don't need to be in the base or anything like that. It's a higher level skill. And we use spinal displacement to make these energies gross. And we do that for beginners. Do you see that? So now, with that in mind, and I ask the question, why is it easier the more the person pushes and pulls, or the heavier the person is?
Just because there's more gross mass to work.
There's more yang aspect. Okay, so I'll show you what I'm. We're gonna do that same drill with no nothing. Okay, no nothing, and you feel, let's rate what you feel that friction on your hand as. We use a 10 at the top. Okay, it's like a 1. Okay, but 1 can do it as long as 1 stays in 1. Now, as I tasked you earlier, don't let me pull you, okay? Then rate what that feels like.
It's like a 3.
You see, it goes up. So my adhesion is actually easier, and I could take off more contact points, and I'll take it back to a 1 with less contact point. Okay, try to hang out there. Leave it up to me to do everything. So, camera, come around. There's the pinky. You see? Now you're resisting, and you'll see. I can do it. Tight. It went up. Do you see that? You see? What's it at now?
Maybe around a 3.
Okay. Now I'm going to go on your knuckle. You go back down, like a 4. Okay. And I'll take you, there's the edge again. I'll bring it back up. There's the edge, back up. Do you see? Same thing is like when he hyper yin yields, there's no kokyu projection because the yang aspect went down. When he's driving, that's where there's the kokyu. It's easier to do. It's all easier to do. So in modern Aikido, the more the guy resists, or the bigger he is, the more it doesn't work. With pre-modern Aikido, Senshin Aikido, the bigger he is, the more he resists, the internals kick in much, much more. Okay, and so the techniques work much better. Okay. So don't let him trigger you. Stay in the release state. Find it right at the source.